nice with it.
Out of all you fighters I see getting on, doing the mitt work or the pad work, whatever you want to call it, I see y'all doing all this, doing all this, doing all this.
Gervonta "Tank" Davis is seething after watching Jake Paul train under the guidance of Floyd Mayweather ahead of their upcoming fight. Floyd stresses that boxing is built on discipline, conditioning, and the test of who can hit hardest. To him, it's not just about movement, it's about pushing limits in training and proving who can truly endure. But his words strike a nerve with Tank. As Mayweather praises Jake's dedication and willingness to step into the ring, Davis feels overlooked, fueling an already tense rivalry.
I like to push myself to be the best, And whatever I do, it can be basketball, football. My dad introduced me to boxing in 1977, and I just took it to the next level. I love boxing, I love competing, and I love being the best. What's good with the fight camp so people can compete with one another, push each other, and it's fun. People want to see who hit the hardest, who's the fastest, who can throw the most punches. So it's a great product. It's about just competing and working hard, getting in shape, and enjoying yourself while you're doing it.
Paulie Malignaggi frames Gervonta "Tank" Davis' story through the lens of history. He notes that, regardless of any personal rifts or lingering tension between Tank and Floyd Mayweather, Floyd's impact on Davis' career is undeniable. In Malignaggi's view, Mayweather was instrumental in refining Tank's technique, instilling discipline, and giving him the kind of foundation that separates elite fighters from the pack. Even if Tank now downplays Floyd's role or points to their feud, the truth remains: those formative years under Mayweather's mentorship helped shape the champion he is today.
And I actually like that win. For Gervonta.
Ryan Garcia.
Ryan Garcia, a lot of fluff again because he's a YouTuber who's never accomplished anything else besides being a YouTuber. So there is talent there. It's unfulfilled and untapped talent, and the loss to Rolando Romero tells you that. So what has Gervonta Davis created, aside from being a manufactured creation that got a big push from Floyd Mayweather? Let's be honest here. Big push from Floyd Mayweather. And then after that, let's match him very carefully. Because what do? We wanted to do the same thing with Adrian Broner, who had the balls to fight everybody. Say what you will about Adrian Broner. Had the balls to fight everybody. Didn't duck a single fight. And they said, you know what? We wanted to do this with Adrian Broner. We wanted to just manufacture a star before he was made into a star. And we kind of messed up by matching him too tough. So the pendulum swung in the complete opposite direction here. It's not like you balanced it out. You went in the complete opposite direction and made this guy fight absolutely nobody constantly. And let me tell you something about the Lamont Roach fight. He's a 16-1 underdog going into the fight because they knew they didn't want to fight anybody who was a risk. There's a reason he's ducking the Lamont Roach rematch now. Because now you realize, wow, this guy is a threat.
Realize, wow, this guy is a threat. Jeff Mayweather's comments cut straight to the heart of the debate surrounding a potential matchup between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. The size difference. According to Jeff, Jake Paul is simply much bigger than Davis, both in natural weight and frame. Boxing has always had weight classes for a reason, and Jeff stresses that the matchup ignores this principle entirely. Davis has built his career in the lighter divisions, excelling through speed, timing, and explosive power within his natural weight range. Jake Paul, meanwhile, has consistently fought at cruiserweight, where fighters walk around with a completely different physical build. Jeff argues that placing these two men in the same ring not only risks competitiveness, but also raises questions about fairness.
Kind of weird, because Jake Paul is extremely different Tank. Yeah, I mean, but with it being an exhibition, makes sense. It's fine. You got a big name that you're going to be fighting. But I mean, it really makes no sense because he could be weighing over 200 and some pounds. Tank's going to probably be weighing maybe at the most 147, 150. So I don't even understand why the fight's happening.
Promoter Eddie Hearn echoed a similar sentiment but took it a step further. He argued that boxing and entertainment must be clearly separated and a fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul blurs that line dangerously. According to Hearn, the contest is not competitive in the truest boxing sense. Instead, it is designed as a business venture fueled by celebrity status and social media buzz. He points to the glaring size disparity as evidence that this matchup isn't about testing skills on a level playing field. Instead, it is packaged as a spectacle meant to capture mainstream attention. Hearn acknowledged that financially the fight would be massive, attracting global interest and generating significant revenue. However, as a lifelong advocate for legitimate competition, he finds it troubling when fights are arranged primarily for commercial reasons rather than sporting merit. Still, Hearn admitted that from a promoter's perspective, the fight would be a good business day. It guarantees headlines, ticket sales, and pay-per-view buys, even if purists feel the sport standards are compromised.
Yeah, and they always said there was a chance of Jake to fight in November. Wasn't I the one that broke Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis 6 months ago or something? I knew that they'd agree that deal. I didn't know they were about to announce it then, but I did know that they'd agreed that deal previously. So I don't like it, if I'm honest. I mean, I think we need to really differentiate between boxing and entertainment concept, and that's what that is. It's a freak show, it's entertainment, it's a lightweight fight, cruiserweight, you know, with, I don't know, bigger gloves. So, minutes per round, I don't know what it is, but, you know, I understand the market, I understand this freak show, shock kind of the world mentality of people potentially tuning in. Is that a step too far? Maybe. I mean, I hated Jake Paul against Mike Tyson. They did massive numbers. I hate Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis. It'll probably do massive numbers. So that's when you really have to differentiate yourself between, just because you don't like it doesn't mean it isn't a business. However you want to be involved with it is another fact. I don't want to be involved with it, but I do respect the fact that it's going to do big numbers. It's not boxing. And I don't think we should promote it as boxing.
In the meantime, then, Eddie, where does that leave you with Anthony Joshua? Are you exploring other options for the end of this year, or are you still looking at that fight for the...
Yeah, no, we're not interested in the Jake Paul fight. Yeah. We're not going to wait around till November or December, whenever it is, and see how he gets on. And if he gets chinned by Gervonta Davis, don't exactly make see Joshua.
Former UFC champion Michael Bisping added a unique perspective to the debate, referencing previous exhibition fights where money dictated outcomes more than skill. In his view, Jake Paul could very well secure a win over Gervonta Davis, not necessarily because of superior ability, but because of the weight advantage and the financial dynamics at play. Bisping argued that exhibition bouts are not bound by the same rules of legitimacy as sanctioned title fights. When a matchup becomes primarily about entertainment and money, results can be influenced in unexpected ways. Jake's larger frame coupled with the looser rules of an exhibition could tilt the fight in his favor.
Fair play, fair play. If he does go out and fight Anthony Joshua, which I wouldn't advise because that would be extremely dangerous, then fair play if he was to do that. And all the critics and people like myself would have to shut the hell up, because I always said he's looking for fights that were manufactured, looking for fights that were predetermined. And by that, I don't mean fake fights. I don't mean fixed fights. I mean fights where the odds are so stacked in his favor that, of course, he's going to win. And, of course, we see this. The latest match that's going to go down November 14th at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. Jake Paul is taking on, you've seen it by now, Gervonta Tank Davis. A man that is a lightweight in boxing. Now, lightweight in MMA is 155 pounds. Lightweight in boxing, 135 pounds. Jake Paul, I think when he weighed in for Mike Tyson, was 227 pounds.
Official winning, 227.2 pounds.
That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92 pound weight difference. Almost a 100 pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. Still 65 pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous. How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet and then going out there taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you? That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, oh, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
The Wade Concept host described Jake Paul as a master manipulator, painting him as someone who understands how to provoke opponents and create opportunities. According to him, Jake successfully baited Gervonta Davis into this matchup by flaunting wealth, creating hype, and turning the contest into an irresistible financial offer. In this framing, Davis is not chasing legacy as much as he is reacting to the allure of a massive payday. The host emphasized that Jake's real talent lies outside the ring in marketing, promotion, and psychological manipulation. By leveraging his platform and showcasing his fortune, Jake pressured Davis into accepting a fight that might not make sense competitively, but does make sense financially.
And again, Jake's only been boxing for 5, 6, 7 years now. It isn't necessarily far-fetched to try to have his own advantages when trying to fight other boxers that have been far more experienced than him. This one's a little too much, right? This one is crazy because of the massive weight difference. It doesn't make a ton of sense. But again, as far as a sport fight is concerned, I want to make sure I make that clear. Again, not me hating on it, because I do think that both guys have been very upfront with what they're doing in this fight and what their goals are with these kind of events. But the narrative Jake's trying to create is that this is like proving anything for him fighting a real fighter when Gervonta is so much smaller than he is. It'll prove something in the fact that Jake is willing to put on great events, but it won't prove anything to the people that are asking him to fight a real fighter. I will say though, if Jake goes out flatlines Gervonta, the casual audience that will say Gervonta smokes Jake completely and utterly, like it wouldn't even be close, that will change their minds a little bit. Not the people that know boxing, people that are going to watch this, casual viewers that know the name Gervonta Davis and know the name Jake Paul. If he is to compete with Gervonta at all or look good in that fight, people will in some way accept it. Or they'll do the other thing where they just say the fight's rigged, which has never been the case, but you get what I'm saying. What Jake is doing is trying to convince a casual audience he belongs in the ring with bigger names. If he's able to hurt Gervonta at all, that might actually do it.
The undefeated lightweight champion of the world
With a record of 30-0, 28 knockouts. He's been boxing since he was 5 years old and turned pro when he was 18. And guess what? Just like everybody,
Ryan Garcia, a rival of Gervonta Davis, was blunt in his assessment. He described Jake Paul's maneuver as neither good, dismissing it as a cheap publicity tactic. From Garcia's perspective, the only reason Davis accepted the fight was money. Garcia argued that true fighters pursue legacy, championships, and history. Accepting a fight against a much bigger man, in his view, undermines the purity of competition. Instead of chasing greatness through worthy opponents, Davis allowed himself to be swayed by a financial incentive. Garcia's criticism also carried an undertone of rivalry, as he has long traded verbal jabs with Tank. Nonetheless, his comments reflect a common critique that this fight is less about proving skill and more about cashing in. To Garcia, the move lacks dignity and diminishes the credibility of all parties involved.
Last week's boxing game, Jake Paul versus Tank, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, everyone's talking about it. It's a whole thing. A lot of people liked it, didn't like it.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you first saw that it was a thing?
It pissed me the fuck off, bro. Like,
why?
It's just disappointing on mainly Jake's end. You know, we're not falling for the Disney Channel bit no more. We're not falling for you're not a fighter no more. We're not falling for that. You know, you're ranked as a cruiserweight and you're out here trying to fight a lightweight. And then on top of it, you were just talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. That doesn't make no sense. And, you know, I just felt like it was a disgrace to boxing and kind of it was not a good move by Jake Paul. You know, I understand people saying, you know, Gervonta got to go get his money, you know, blah, blah, blah. But, like, we're not talking about that shit. We're talking about the sport, bro. We're not talking about, oh, you got to get that money, bro. Yeah, but everybody's open to criticism. That's the whole point of this media shit. Right. That's why they talk about basketball players. They don't talk about, well, LeBron's making too much. Like, nobody cares, bro. LeBron's missing the shot. He's missing the fucking shot. So at the end of the day, bro, I just thought it was a disgrace to the sport. Because on one end, you know, you got the casuals, right? The casuals don't see the weight difference. They see Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis. Yeah. And if Gervonta Davis doesn't fuck up Jake Paul, they're going to think Jake Paul is some pound-for-pound champion type of fighter. Yeah. And to me, that's just, it's tricking the public, and it's kind of bullshit at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, if Gervonta was Jake Paul's size, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. There probably wouldn't even be a fight. Yeah. You know what I mean? So